Today we're talking about some K-drama. Annyeonghaseyo, no, we're not going to do that. We're not talking about Korean dramas, we're talking about Kotkaniemi drama. Because when it comes to the Carolina Hurricanes' recent acquiree, third overall pick in the 2018 draft by Montreal, sent over to Carolina via the offer sheet, there have been so many conversations about this guy in both very positive and negative lights, respectively. You have the Carolina fans saying that this is a good long-term bet because Kotkaniemi has potential and he has a 4.8 AAV deal till 2030. If he fulfills the potential and the ceiling that he has within him, then this contract could be a steal. Meanwhile, you have the Montreal fans saying that Kotkaniemi already had his problems in Montreal. Kotkaniemi wasn't really on the right path to becoming that top-tier potential first-line, two-way center that people thought it was going to be when he was outscoring Barkov in his first NHL year. And of course, you have the negativity that's thrown around there every time Kotkaniemi is brought up today because this season, the guy has 4 points in 21 games played. And for a player that is 22 years old, he's supposed to be sort of traversing his way up the NHL ladder and developing to the point where he can be labeled a consistent middle to top 6 caliber center. That point production is just not fly. In fact, the guy had worse point production before yesterday. Against the Boston Bruins, he scored his first goal in, 20 days? And how many games is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games? He went 10 games in 20 days without a point, let alone a single goal, and yesterday against the Boston Bruins, he scored a pretty interesting one. It was thrown on goal by Seth Jarvis, I believe it was, and Marc did not end up getting the rebound properly, which is why Kotkaniemi was there on the doorstep to just take the puck and put it into the open cage while Marc was down. But Kotkaniemi has 4 points on the season, and the fact that he is producing so little, especially in comparison to other players in the Montreal Canadiens, some of them are third overall, like Kirby Dach, others were acquired directly because of the Kotkaniemi departure, like Christian Dvorak, there seems to be an ever-looming smell of Kotkaniemi around the parts of Canadiens' internet lore. This is why if we go over to a new segment from BPM Sports, this is what they had said when they had Jean-Charles on the show. It's in French, but we're not going to go out there and translate that because my French is bad. I haven't spoken the language in a consistent manner in 4 years. But pretty much what this says is that apparently the Canadiens actually would have matched the one-year Kotkaniemi offer sheet with the understanding that they also would have a long-term contract agreed to as well. However, KK's agent did not pick up the phone, because he himself wanted out too. Now, there was an entire thing talked about, I believe it was in this video, this French radio hit video, that Marc Bergevin wasn't necessarily being the easiest to deal with when it came to the Kotkaniemi extension talks, and that in and of itself is not a surprise. Bergevin was never the easiest person to go out there and negotiate with from the perspective of the players trying to get the bag. And so Kotkaniemi kind of did something similar to what Sebastian Aho did when he and the Carolina Hurricanes had a very similar interaction. Sebastian Aho expired as a Carolina Hurricane, and the Hurricane staff did not want to give him the amount of money that he was pretty much worth. I mean, Aho is a good NHL player, so the fact that he was demanding the certain dollar amount that he was, it was seen in the eyes of the media as pretty fair. This is why Aho signed that offer sheet with the Montreal Canadiens in the first place, only for the Hurricanes to match it. Not because Aho wanted to go to Montreal per se, but because he wanted to get that contract specifically in the way that Montreal was willing to give it out. He had signed an offer sheet that was with a dollar amount that a lot of people thought wasn't really all too outrageous, and the Hurricanes matched it because, okay, screw it, Aho, we didn't want to give you this money because we're kind of cheap, but we'll match this offer sheet because we'd rather have you than the compensation picks that would be given to us from Montreal if we let you go. Kotkaniemi kind of did a similar thing, but there was no intention for him to actually go back to Montreal. He had a difficult negotiation with the contract. He was able to go to Carolina and sign to a deal that was actually wildly outrageous. 1 year, $6.1 million a season for a guy who had a 20-point year in 56 games played. 6.1 AAV for 1 year, absolutely bananas. But when Bergevin and co. had the opportunity to call call up Kotkaniemi's agent and say, hey, you're going to match this offer sheet. Like, we can re-sign you to a contract long-term afterwards. The agent didn't pick up the phone because KK himself wanted out. Here's another tweet made by Blaine Potvin explaining the same video from Twitter in a different way. According to John Charles, the Habs were going to match the KK offer sheet, but he made it clear he wanted out of Montreal, and we all know the drama that unfolded after. Judging on Kotkaniemi's play now, it may seem like they dodged a bit of an issue, but Dvorak's play and any trade value will be the deciding factor as well. And I'd seen a lot of other people on Canadiens Twitter retweeting this video particularly and saying, oh man, the Habs really dodged a bullet there. Bergevin really dodged a bullet because he got rid of a guy that wasn't really progressing down the proper path. And I know you could say that Kotkaniemi had some really good highlights and moments in the Stanley Cup where they went to the finals and everything, and as a result, there's a lot of good karma that was built up from his development in Montreal, but you take a look at things with hindsight, and the guy's got 4 points in 20 games. He's not producing, and he's not looking all too great. He's signed till the end of 2030, making $4.8 million, and the guy is on pace for 16 points on the season. That sucks, bro. Like, I say this every single time we talk about young guys who are struggling, but I'm not gonna doubt that he has the potential to be better than this next year, 2 years from now, whatever, right? But we said the same thing last year. We said the same thing 2 years ago, and where is he now? 4 points in 20 games? I'd seen some people saying the idea that maybe Marc Bergevin kind of knew that Kotkaniemi wasn't really going to be that great further down the line, and that they might have made a mistake taking him 3rd overall in the 2018 draft. So, as a result, maybe there was this entire drama that stirred up, and Bergevin used it as an opportunity to get himself out of this situation with this player. Because had Kotkaniemi stuck around in Montreal and he developed like this, he was getting 4 points in 20 games with Montreal like this, you know the media here would have What am I talking about here? I'm not in Montreal, I'm in Vancouver. But you know the Montreal Canadiens media and fans would have beaten this guy into the ground with comments and criticisms and overall questioning of his play and his development and whether or not he's actually a good enough talent to justify keeping on the roster, let alone be taken 3rd overall. There's so much bad that would have come out of Kotkaniemi sticking around with the Habs and being as poorly offensively as he is right now with Carolina. People would have been like, hey, what if they just didn't match the offer sheet? What if they let him go and they took the draft picks and they traded for another center instead, like Christian Dvorak, for example? That's what happened in this timeline, and it's working out pretty well, I would say, but thinking about it now and seeing that Kotkaniemi himself apparently, according to this report, also wanted out and pretty much said no in a subliminal way to the idea of sticking around with the Canadiens long-term after the offer sheet was signed in the first place, it makes things feel that Kotkaniemi himself might have dug his own grave, or at the very least saved the Canadiens from a few years worth of turmoil talking about this guy and criticizing him in the media. Heck, people are talking about Kotkaniemi all the time anyways, like me on my YouTube channel. We made a video talking about 3rd overall picks from 2018 to 2019 and how Kotkaniemi versus Doc is a no contest. Doc is so much better right now. And okay, there are other 3rd overall picks you can talk about too, especially ones that have been linked to the Canadiens. Obviously, Drouin is there. You have Dubois, who was linked to the Habs for a long time this summer. And I mean, look, I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here, but either way, Kotkaniemi is already getting discussed about a lot in the Canadiens lore right now because of how his season has been going. And now we have this report saying that he didn't want to stay in Montreal himself. It makes things even more spicy. I did say we were talking about K-drama, right? So that kind of works out. What's your favorite K-drama? If anybody's going out there watching this video and you actually are a Korean drama fan, then what are your opinions? This might have been the weirdest tangent that I did not think we would actually be going out on, but some of my favorite series are Yumie Seppudu. What else do I like? I like Our Beloved Summer. That's probably my favorite of all time. I know it's quite new. I'm kind of basic like that. But aside from K-dramas, let's talk about the other K-drama as well in the comments. Kotkaniemi, all the drama with him and him not wanting to stay in Montreal. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.